School officer harasses black girl in parking lot. Then her Navy SEAL mom shows up. The patrol car's lights painted the school parking lot red and blue. Officer Derek Hawkins actually laughed, when 12-year-old Maya Brooks said her mom would handle this. He radioed for backup like she had threatened him with a weapon. "Sweetheart, I've been doing this for a long time." Derek's smirk deepened as he leaned against his cruiser. "Every kid says their parents are going to fix things. Your mom is in special forces." He made air quotes with his fingers. "Sure she is." Maya stood perfectly still, phone already recording at her side. Her mother had taught her this. Document everything. React to nothing. The school principal hovered nearby, wringing his hands but saying nothing useful. Have you ever watched someone dismiss you so completely they do not realize they are being recorded for their career's final performance? This is one of those real-life stories that proves power is not always loud. Sometimes the most touching stories about systemic change start with one black girl refusing to back down. These are the powerful stories that remind us quiet strength defeats loud prejudice. Maya had walked out of Riverside Middle School that afternoon after her science teacher made her stand in the hallway during the entire astronomy lesson. It was the third time that month. The reason stated in Mr. Peterson's log was disruptive attitude. The reality was she had corrected him when he said Pluto was still a full planet. When Maya's mother did not answer her phone, she called her emergency contact, her aunt. But the school's resource officer intercepted her at the parking lot gate before her aunt could arrive. He had gotten a call from Mr. Peterson claiming Maya was leaving without permission, possibly truant. Derek's body camera would later show him approaching with his hand near his belt. "Where do you think you are going?" His tone was not curious. It was accusatory, the kind of voice that assumed guilt before asking questions. Maya explained calmly, "Science teacher issue. She was waiting for pickup. She had permission to call home." Derek did not check the school log. He did not ask the principal to verify her story. He checked her. "Empty your backpack now." Each command carried weight beyond its words. "Do not get smart with me," he said, when she asked why she was being searched. His jaw tightened. "Girls like you need to learn respect," he added when she stood still instead of immediately complying. When Maya said her mom worked on base, Derek's eyebrows rose. "What does your mother do? Clean houses?" The principal finally emerged from the building. "Officer, maybe we should call the parent first." Derek waved him off without looking. By now, 2 other students were recording from their parents' cars in the pickup line. Derek did not notice. He was too focused on proving Maya was hiding something. Vape pen, pills, anything to justify his instinct that something was wrong with this picture. Maya's backpack contents lay out on the hood of the patrol car. 3 textbooks, a Scientific American subscription magazine with her name on the label, a fountain pen her mother brought back from Germany, and a military family services card with a phone number Derek did not recognize. Special Forces. He held the card between 2 fingers like it was a toy store badge. "This from one of those Army recruitment fairs?" He laughed again, that same dismissive sound. The principal shifted his weight, looking increasingly uncomfortable. What Derek missed because he was not actually looking, the card was not standard military-dependent ID. It had a black stripe across the top and a 6-digit access code printed in silver. Maya's phone case had a small Special Operations Command patch sticker on the back, barely visible unless you knew what to look for. The fountain pen's engraving read, "Commander Johnson DevGru, Commander Development Group, the unit that does not officially exist on paper." The principal saw it. His face went pale. He had been in the Marines for some time before teaching. He knew those markings. "Officer Hawkins, I think you should go back inside and let me handle this, David." Derek was annoyed now. The girl was not crying or arguing. She just stood there, recording. That bothered him more than anything. Kids were supposed to be scared of cops. That is how respect worked. Maya finally spoke again, My mother will be here soon. You can wait or you can leave, but you cannot search me without probable cause or a guardian present. California Education Code section on student rights. She said it like reading from a manual because she was. Her mother had drilled it into her since she was old enough to walk to school alone. Derek's face flushed red. A 12-year-old just cited case law, David, in front of other parents, in front of cameras. You threatening me with lawyers now? That is cute. I am informing you of my rights. Maya's voice never changed pitch. My mother taught me to know them. Your mother? Derek stepped closer. Let us talk about your mother, because I am starting to think maybe Child Protective Services needs to know about a parent who teaches her kid to be this disrespectful to authority. That crossed a line. The principal stepped forward. Officer, that is completely inappropriate. You want inappropriate? How about a kid walking off campus without permission? How about a possible runaway situation? Derek grabbed his radio. Dispatch, this is Unit 7. I need 2 additional units at Riverside Middle School. Uncooperative minor. Possible family services intervention needed. The static crackled. Copy. Unit 7. Units en route. Maya did not flinch. She just looked at her phone screen. Her mother was never late. One of the recording parents, a white woman named Jennifer Thompson, approached. Officer, I know this family. Her mom is on the PTA emergency contact list. I can call her right now. Ma'am, step back behind the vehicle line, Derek pointed. His partner had just arrived. Officer Jamal Carter, a younger black man who had been on the force for some time. Carter assessed the situation in seconds and looked deeply uncomfortable. He had responded to Derek's calls before. They usually escalated unnecessarily. The school's security guard, Ruth Martinez, whispered to the principal, David, her mom is the one who came to career day last year. She did not say exactly what she did, but there were men in suits watching from the back of the auditorium the whole time. They left with her. Principal David Ellis knew he should intervene. He had been trained on de-escalation. He had attended a workshop on implicit bias some time ago. But Derek had seniority with the district's police liaison program, and David had only been principal for some time. He was still on probation. One complaint from the police union could end his career, so he stood there and hated himself for it. Maya checked her phone again. The first video hit social media with the caption, Black girl detained at school for asking to call her mom. Cop says she is lying about her family. Share this now. Within a short time, it had many views. Someone had already screen recorded it and posted it across platforms. Local news vans from Channel 7 and Channel 3 were en route. The assignment editors had seen the video, a 12-year-old, a cop laughing, the words, girls like you. It had all the elements. Derek still did not see the phones. He was focused on Maya's silence, which he interpreted as guilt. In his long experience, innocent people talked. They explained. They defended themselves. This kid just stood there like she was made of stone. The more you cooperate, the easier this gets, he said. Maya, I am cooperating. I am waiting for my mother, Officer Carter muttered to Derek. Her story checks out. School log shows the teacher incident. The aunt's contact info is verified in the system. Maybe we just wait for the parent. Are you telling me how to do my job, Carter? Derek's voice dropped low. Dangerous. Because if you have a problem with how I handle juveniles, you can go write parking tickets. Carter stepped back. He knew when to retreat, but he also kept his body camera pointed at the scene just in case. 2 more patrol cars pulled up. Derek had called for backup and dispatch sent everyone available. 6 officers for one 12-year-old girl in a school parking lot. Officer Alex Rivera stepped out, saw the crowd of phones, saw Maya standing calm, and immediately understood this was going south. Derek, what is the situation? Uncooperative minor. Possible family issues. I am waiting for confirmation on her guardian. She looks pretty cooperative to me. Rivera had daughters. This felt wrong. I did not ask for your assessment. The principal's phone buzzed, then buzzed again, then rang. He answered, listened, and went paler. "Officer Hawkins, the superintendent is on the line. She is directing you to stand down immediately and wait for the parent. The district's legal counsel is on the other line. They are watching the video." "What video?" David turned his phone screen around. The social media post now had many views. The comments were brutal. Someone had already identified Derek by his badge number visible in the video. His Facebook profile was being shared. His home address was 3 comments away from being posted. Derek's radio crackled. "Unit 7, return to station. Captain wants you in his office now." "I am in the middle of—" "Hutchkins, that is an order." But before Derek could respond, a black Chevy Tahoe with government plates pulled into the lot. No sirens, no rush. It parked at an angle that gave clear view of every person, every exit, every line of sight. The driver's door opened. A woman stepped out. Jeans, fitted black jacket, aviator sunglasses. She moved like water, smooth and deliberate, already assessing threats before her feet hit the pavement. Her hair was pulled back tight in a bun. No jewelry, no makeup, no expression. Derek glanced over, then away. Just another parent coming to complain. Then she walked closer, and Officer Carter recognized the walk. It was the same gait his drill sergeant had at Parris Island, the kind you earn from carrying heavy loads through rugged terrain for days straight, the kind that says, "I have been shot at, and I am still here." Maya. The woman's voice was not loud, but it cut through every conversation, every car engine, every ambient sound. Command voice, the kind that makes people stand at attention without thinking. Maya's shoulders relaxed for the first time in those tense minutes. "Hi, Mom." Derek turned, smile ready. Time to play good cop with the parent, explain the misunderstanding, make this go away. "Ma'am, your daughter was involved in an incident where—" The woman removed her sunglasses. Her eyes were the kind of calm that preceded Category 5 hurricanes. "Officer, I need you to step away from my daughter now." The now was not aggressive. It was not loud. It was a period at the end of a sentence that could not be debated, revised, or appealed. Derek's pride caught fire. He had been dismissed, contradicted, and undermined for the last while, not by this woman, too. "Ma'am, I am conducting an investigation. Your daughter was attempting to leave school grounds without authorization and without calling me, which she did. I was in a classified briefing at Naval Base Coronado. I am here now. The situation is resolved." "You do not get to decide that, ma'am." Lieutenant Colonel. Officer Rivera said it quietly. He had seen the patch on her jacket when she turned. Small gold trident, even smaller number. He went rigid. Derek did not hear him. "I need to see ID, and if you are really military, I want your commanding officer's contact information." The woman smiled. Then it was not friendly. It was the smile of someone who had negotiated hostage releases with warlords and won. "Officer Hawkins, I am going to give you one opportunity to de-escalate this situation professionally. After that, I make a phone call, and your day becomes significantly more complicated than you can currently imagine." Derek laughed. That laugh. The third time Maya had heard it. Is that a threat? Because threatening a police officer it is a courtesy. She pulled out her phone. "Your choice." The principal finally found his voice. "Officer, perhaps we should all just step back and—" "Everyone shut up." Derek's hand dropped to his belt, not his gun, his handcuffs. "Ma'am, you are interfering with a police investigation. Turn around now." Every phone recording caught that moment. The moment Derek Hawkins tried to handcuff a Navy SEAL commander in front of her daughter. The moment his career ended, even though he did not know it yet. The woman did not turn around. She did not move. She pressed one button on her phone. Single speed dial. Put it on speaker. One ring. "Commander Johnson?" A man's voice, gravel and absolute authority. The kind of voice that sent carrier groups to new coordinates. "Sir, this is Lieutenant Colonel Elena Brooks, Naval Special Warfare Development Group. I have a situation requiring immediate JAG intervention and potentially NCIS notification." Local law enforcement is attempting to detain me in front of my minor daughter without cause while I am retrieving her from Riverside Middle School, Riverside, California. Badge number of the Riverside Unified Police Department. Silence on the other end. Then hold position. Do not comply with any orders or commands. I am patching through to SOCOM Legal and the San Diego FBI Field Office. Are you currently safe? Affirmative. Is your daughter safe? Now she is. Stay on the line. Derek's face drained of every drop of blood. Officer Carter closed his eyes and exhaled slowly. Officer Rivera took 3 steps back. The principal sat down on the curb and put his head in his hands. The parking lot had gone silent except for the wind and distant freeway traffic, and the sound of Derek Hawkins's career collapsing in real time. No one moved. Parents stood frozen with phones raised. Students watched from car windows. Even the birds seemed to have stopped making noise. Lieutenant Colonel, not just Mom, not even regular Army or Navy. DevGRU, Naval Special Warfare Development Group, the unit most people knew by its old name, the one that was not supposed to be mentioned. SEAL Team 6, the unit that ended Bin Laden, the unit that did not officially exist on any public roster. Derek's hand slowly came away from his handcuffs. You could have just said what? Elena's voice was ice carved into words. That I am a Navy SEAL, that I have commanded counter-terrorism operations in many countries, that I hold 2 bronze stars with valor and a Purple Heart. Would that have stopped you from harassing a 12-year-old girl because she corrected her science teacher about planetary classifications? She stepped closer. Derek stepped back. Officer Carter moved slightly between them, not to protect Derek, but to protect Derek from doing something even more catastrophically stupid. Or should I have pulled rank when you implied my daughter was a delinquent? When you mocked the idea that I served this country? When you laughed on Kara 3 separate times at the notion that a black woman could be in special forces? Every word was a surgical strike, precise, devastating, no wasted energy. Officer Rivera cleared his throat. Ma'am, on behalf of officers who actually respect the uniform, I apologize. This is not— You are not who I am addressing, Officer Rivera. Elena's eyes never left Derek. You tried to de-escalate twice, I saw that. So did my daughter's phone recording, which has been uploading to secure cloud storage since the moment you approached. She held up her phone. The screen showed a live upload progress bar. Everything from the moment you approached my daughter is documented with timestamp and location metadata. Your body camera footage is subject to my Freedom of Information Act request as of, she glanced at her watch. Military issue, scarred face, still keeping perfect time, when my legal team filed it with your department, the school district, and the California Attorney General's office. Principal Ellis's phone buzzed, then buzzed again, then rang. He answered with shaking hands, listened, and went even paler. Officer Hawkins, the superintendent is directing you to leave campus immediately. The district's legal counsel has advised that any further interaction could constitute harassment and violate the district's federal funding compliance. Derek's radio crackled again. Unit 7, acknowledge. Captain's direct order. Return to station now or face insubordination charges. But Elena was not done. There is one more thing you should know. Everyone waited. The wind picked up, scattering leaves across the parking lot. Somewhere, a car alarm went off and stopped. The world kept turning while Derek Hawkins' world stopped completely. The science teacher who started this, Mr. Peterson, he is about to have a very interesting conversation with the school board because this is not the first time he has targeted my daughter. It is the third. And unlike the first 2 times where I gave grace and assumed ignorance, this time I pulled his file. She looked at Principal Ellis. Did you know? He was dismissed from his previous district for discriminatory grading practices. It was settled quietly, very quietly. Sealed records, but sealed records are not really sealed when you have a top-secret security clearance and contacts in the Department of Education's Office of Civil Rights. David Ellis's face answered the question. He did not know, or he had known and hoped it would not surface. Elena pulled a folder from her vehicle, thin, legal size. She handed it to David. That is a complete record of disciplinary actions in your school for the past period. Mr. Peterson has issued many referrals. Most of those were for students of color, despite this school being only a certain percentage non-white. Of those referrals, my daughter received several. She pulled out another document. Your resource officer, Derek Hawkins, has responded to many calls this school year. Most involved students of color. He has drawn his weapon twice, both times on black teenagers. One was holding a science project, the other was holding a phone. He has never drawn his weapon for a white student, not once, not even when a white student brought his father's hunting knife to school. Derek found his voice. That was different, Elena finished. Kyle was white, and you talked him down, bought him a soda from the vending machine, called his parents. No charges filed. But Jamal Williams had his phone in his hand, and you pulled your service weapon and called for backup. He was 14. Officer Carter looked at the ground. He had been there. He remembered. He had filed a report about excessive response. It had gone nowhere. Elena turned back to the principal. Your district policy states that law enforcement may not detain students without notification to parents and administration approval, except in cases of immediate danger. Neither condition was met today. Your liability exposure is currently estimated at a significant amount, according to the ACLU attorney, who has been on the phone with me since the incident began. That is before punitive damages. That is before the Justice Department's Civil Rights Division decides whether to open a pattern and practice investigation into your district. Marcus Hayes's voice came from behind them. Everyone turned. The school board president had arrived, still in his suit from his law office downtown. He was a black man who had fought his own battles with this district for a long time. What do you want? Elena looked at Maya. Her daughter stood straighter. This was the part they talked about. This was the moment when you decide whether you want revenge or change. Revenge feels better in the moment. Change lasts. I want what every parent wants. My daughter to learn without fear. But since we are past that, she slid a document across the hood of the patrol car to Marcus Hayes. These are my terms. He read them. His eyebrows rose. Then he nodded slowly. These are reasonable. They are non-negotiable. Derek finally spoke. You cannot just come in here and what? Elena turned to him. And demand that a public school follow federal law and require that officers who interact with children receive proper training and insist on transparency and disciplinary data. Which part sounds unreasonable to you, Officer Hawkins? Derek's phone buzzed. Text from his captain. Get off that campus now or turn in your badge today. He looked at Maya. She was still recording. He looked at the crowd of parents, all recording. He looked at Officer Rivera and Officer Carter, both with body cameras running. He was surrounded by evidence of his own behavior, preserved in digital amber forever. This is not over, he said. You are right. Elena stepped aside so he could leave. This is just beginning. You will receive notification of my formal complaint soon. You will receive a subpoena for deposition, and you will receive a very clear understanding of what happens when you underestimate people based on what they look like rather than who they are. Derek walked to his patrol car. His hands shook as he opened the door. He had been a cop for a long time. He had received commendations. He had never fired his weapon in the line of duty. He had thought he was one of the good ones. He drove away without lights or sirens. Just a man whose certainty about the world had shattered in a school parking lot on an ordinary afternoon. Officer Carter approached Elena. Ma'am, I want to apologize. I should have intervened more forcefully. I should have. You tried twice. I saw that. Your body camera will show that. Elena's voice softened slightly. But trying is not enough anymore, Officer Carter. Next time you intervene, you step between your partner and the person he is targeting. You call your supervisor. You do whatever it takes. Because if you do not, you are not neutral. You are complicit. He nodded. Yes, ma'am. "Maya, get in the car. We are done here." Maya walked to the Tahoe, head high, phone still recording. She climbed into the passenger seat. Elena followed, started the engine, and looked at the crowd one last time. "Any of you want copies of today's recordings for your own protection? Email me. My contact information is on the school's PTA list." She put the Tahoe in gear. "I suggest you all start documenting everything because this school is about to change, and change is uncomfortable for people who benefit from how things are." She drove away. Marcus Hayes stood holding her list of demands. The news vans pulled into the parking lot and the real work began. That evening, the Riverside Unified School District held an emergency closed session in the administration building. Many people crammed into a conference room. The air conditioning struggled against body heat and rising tension. Present were Superintendent Dr. Carol Hayes, School Board President Marcus Hayes, board members whose phones would not stop buzzing with constituent messages, the teachers' union representative already calculating political angles, district legal counsel with a folder thick enough to stop bullets, Principal David Ellis, who had changed his shirt because the first one was soaked through with stress sweat, and uninvited but impossible to exclude, Lieutenant Colonel Elena Brooks, now in business attire, flanked by a Navy JAG officer whose ribbons told a long story, and an ACLU attorney whose reputation preceded her like a storm front. Dr. Hayes opened. "Mrs. Brooks, this is highly irregular. Closed sessions are for—" "Lieutenant Colonel," the JAG officer corrected. His name tag read CDR Patterson, no relation to the science teacher, and my client is here as both a parent whose child was subject to unlawful detention and as a federal officer whose credentials were mocked by district contracted law enforcement. She has legal standing under Title IX, Title VI, and the Uniformed Services Employment and Reemployment Rights Act. The ACLU attorney, Sarah Chen, placed 3 folders on the table. Each landed with a sound like a gavel. "We are also here representing many other families whose children have been disproportionately targeted by the same resource officer over the past period. We filed notice of intent to sue this afternoon. That gives you time to respond before we proceed to federal court." Board member Patricia Knowles, the one who chaired the Police Union Charity Committee, leaned forward. "This is an overreaction. One incident does not prove a pattern. Many incidents prove a pattern." Elena stood. She did not need notes. She had memorized every number, every name, every date. "Would you like me to read them aloud?" "I have time." Marcus Hayes gestured for her to continue. He had read her demands. He knew where this was going. The only question was whether his colleagues would be smart enough to get on board or stupid enough to fight. Elena connected her laptop to the room's display. She had already breached their network security, legal under federal officer emergency protocols when investigating civil rights violations. The screen filled with data. "Mr. Peterson has been employed at Riverside Middle for some time. In that time, he has issued many disciplinary referrals. Most of those were for students of color. The school's demographic breakdown is a certain percentage non-white. Basic statistics tell us this disparity is significant. That means there is less than a small chance this happened randomly." She clicked to the next slide. "Of those referrals for students of color, my daughter received several. That is a large percentage of all disciplinary actions against non-white students directed at a single child, a child who maintains a perfect GPA and has never been disciplined in any previous school. Maybe she is disruptive." Patricia again, unwilling to concede. "Maybe your bias is showing." Marcus did not look at Patricia, but his voice carried warning. "Let her finish." Elena clicked again. "Your resource officer, Derek Hawkins. Many calls this school year. Most involved students of color. He has drawn his weapon twice, both times on black teenagers. He has physically restrained students many times. Most were non-white. He has called Child Protective Services several times. All black or Latino families. 0 calls for white families despite statistical likelihood of similar issues across demographics. The room was silent except for the air conditioning and Patricia's aggressive note-taking. Your district receives significant annual funding and federal funding tied to Safe Schools initiatives. Those funds come with compliance requirements under the Civil Rights Act. Specifically, Title VI prohibits discrimination based on race in any program receiving federal financial assistance. Your disciplinary data shows clear disparate impact. Dr. Hayes finally spoke. What evidence do you have that this is intentional discrimination rather than what? Coincidence? Sarah Chen opened her folder. We have many families willing to testify. We have years of statistical data. We have audio recordings of Officer Hawkins using phrases like girls like you and boys from that neighborhood. We have video of him laughing when a child claimed her mother served in the military. We have documentation of Mr. Peterson consistently grading students of color more harshly than white students for identical work. She slid a document across to Dr. Hayes. That is a comparative analysis of his grading patterns. A white student and a black student submit essays with the same structure, similar word count, equivalent grammar. The white student receives a high grade. The black student receives a lower grade. This pattern repeats many times across semesters. David Ellis's voice was barely a whisper. I did not know. You should have. Marcus looked at him without sympathy. That is your job to know. Elena clicked to her final slide. Here is what happens next. You have two options. Option 1, you fight this. We go to federal court. The Department of Justice Civil Rights Division opens an investigation. News runs the story. Your district becomes a national symbol of systemic racism in education. You lose the lawsuit. My attorneys estimate high certainty. And you pay damages, legal fees, and ongoing federal monitoring costs. Total estimated cost a significant amount over years. Plus, your reputation is destroyed and enrollment drops because parents pull their children out. She paused. Let them absorb it. Option 2, you accept my terms. You implement real reform. You become a model for addressing bias in schools. You get ahead of this instead of getting buried by it. And maybe you actually create an environment where all children can learn safely. Patricia, this sounds like extortion. This sounds like consequences. Elena's voice never rose. You hired an officer with a documented pattern of bias. You employed a teacher who was dismissed from his previous position for discrimination. You failed to monitor disciplinary data that would have revealed these patterns in the first month. This is not extortion. This is accountability. Marcus Hayes looked at the other board members. I am calling a vote. All in favor of accepting Lieutenant Colonel Brooks's terms, say aye. Wait. Patricia stood. We have not even discussed what the terms are. I have them here. Marcus held up the document. We have all had time to review. The superintendent has reviewed them. Legal counsel has reviewed them. They are reasonable, achievable, and significantly less expensive than litigation. He read them aloud. 1. Immediate removal of Officer Hawkins from all school campuses pending independent investigation. Officer Carter assigned as interim resource officer. 2. Mandatory implicit bias training for all staff within a short period. Administered by independent organization with proven methodology. 3. Body camera system for all resource officers within a short period with footage reviewed monthly by Parent Community Board. 4. Third-party audit of all disciplinary data by race, gender, and disability status within a short period, results published publicly. 5. Quarterly review of Mr. Peterson's classroom practices with termination if pattern continues. 6. New protocol requiring 2 adult witness rule before any student detention or search with parent notification within minutes. He looked around the table. These are not radical demands. These are basic protections that should already exist. Anyone who votes against this needs to explain to their constituents why they opposed body cameras, bias training, and data transparency. The vote was nearly unanimous. Patricia voted no. Everyone else voted yes. The decision was made quickly once Marcus forced the issue. Dr. Hayes looked at Elena. "You will have our written acceptance soon. You have a short period to provide written acceptance with implementation timeline and designated oversight officer. After that, the offer expires and we proceed to litigation." Elena closed her laptop. "And one more thing." Everyone waited. "I will be reviewing your compliance personally every short period for the next year. If I find you are implementing these changes in name only, if I find you are retaliating against families who complained, if I find any deviation from the agreed terms, I will personally ensure that the federal investigation happens anyway. My contact at the Department of Education's Office of Civil Rights has already expressed significant interest in this case." She stood. The JAG officer and ACLU attorney stood with her. "I do not want your gratitude. I do not want your apologies. I want you to do your jobs. Protect all children equally. It is not complicated." They walked out. The board members sat in silence. Patricia Knowles would resign sometime later, citing philosophical differences with district direction. No one mourned her departure. The work of change had begun. A short time later, Dr. Hayes emailed an implementation plan with timeline, budget allocation, and designated oversight officers. Elena reviewed it quickly. She approved it with minor modifications. The machine of bureaucracy began to turn. Derek Hawkins placed on paid administrative leave, while Internal Affairs opened investigation. The investigation took some time. His body camera footage combined with data showing pattern and practice left no room for interpretation. His union representative advised him to resign with benefits intact. He refused, believing he could fight it. He was wrong. He was terminated sometime after the parking lot incident. Cause: violation of use of force policies, failure to follow de-escalation protocols, conduct unbecoming an officer. He filed a wrongful termination lawsuit. His attorney withdrew after reviewing the evidence. The case died quietly. He now works security at a shopping mall in another state. He tells people he retired early from law enforcement. No one asks questions. Mr. Peterson resigned to pursue other opportunities before the review period concluded. His teaching license is under review by the California Commission on Teacher Credentialing. Several former students from his previous district came forward with their own stories after seeing the news coverage. He currently works at a private tutoring company. Elena's attorney monitors his employment. If he attempts to return to public education, they will be ready. Principal David Ellis, formerly reprimanded for failure to intervene and protect student welfare, required to complete additional leadership training. He actually showed up at Elena's door sometime after the incident. No lawyers, no recording devices, just him apologizing to Maya directly. "I should have stepped in sooner," he told her. "I was scared of making things worse, of losing my job, of causing problems, but you were being treated unfairly and I let it happen. That was wrong. I am sorry." Maya looked at her mother. Elena nodded. "Accept or do not. Your choice." Maya said, "Apologies are good. Changed behavior is better." David nodded. He is still principal, but he is different now. He intervenes loudly, publicly. His relationship with the teachers' union is rocky, but his relationship with families of color has improved significantly. Officer Carter promoted to Senior Resource Officer. He implemented a student advisory board that meets with him monthly. Students vote on members anonymously. They discuss concerns, review policies, and make recommendations. Student complaints against school police have dropped significantly. He also enrolled in a master's program for school counseling. He realized through the incident that he was better at prevention than enforcement. He still works as resource officer, but now co-leads a conflict resolution class twice a week. Students actually like him. The systemic changes rolled out on schedule. The body camera program launched soon after the incident. Every resource officer now wears a body camera that automatically activates when entering school property. Community Review Board of parents, students, and one teacher reviews random footage monthly. Use of force incidents dropped significantly. Unexpected benefit. Teachers requested cameras too for protection against false accusations. The bias training happened in stages over weeks. Provider, an independent research-based organization. Duration, many hours over sessions. Content, implicit bias, de-escalation, trauma-informed practices, restorative justice principles. Every staff member attended. Pre- and post-training testing measured attitude shifts. Disciplinary referral tracking continued for accountability. The data transparency dashboard went live soon after the incident. Public website updated in real time. Statistics on disciplinary actions by race, gender, disability status. Quarterly reports comparing current year to previous. Anonymous complaint submission form reviewed by outside ombudsman. First-year results. Overall disciplinary actions down. Racial disparity gap narrowed. Still work to do, but trajectory correct. The 2 adult witness protocol faced significant staff resistance. Teachers complained about babysitting each other. The union filed grievance about additional duties without compensation. Marcus Hayes personally negotiated resolution, rotating schedule, compensatory time, clear documentation requirements. Any student interaction requiring search, detention, or isolation must have 2 staff present. Parent notification within minutes via automated text system. Documentation in student file within hours. Violation results in mandatory review and potential suspension. Sometime after the incident, Maya presented her science project at the Regional California Science Fair. Title: Cognitive Bias in Authority Response, a case study of disciplinary patterns in public education. She used anonymized data from her own incident and her school's disciplinary records. She won first place in the Social Science Division. The project included statistical analysis of body camera footage with faces digitally blurred, disciplinary data visualization, and video interviews with students about their experiences. Her conclusion delivered to a room of judges and parents. Systemic change requires 3 elements: data, accountability, and courage. 1 alone is insufficient. 2 might create temporary improvement. All 3 together create lasting reform. Her science teacher for the competition, Dr. Reina Martinez, new hire with Ph.D. in astrophysics. Dr. Martinez actively encouraged students to challenge her. When Maya corrected her about the latest exoplanet discovery, Dr. Martinez thanked her and updated her lesson plan. Elena attended the science fair in civilian clothes, sitting in the back row. When Maya won, Elena did not cheer or make a scene. She just nodded once, the same nod she gave her SEAL team members after successful operations. Maya saw it from across the room. That nod meant, "Mission accomplished. Well done. I am proud of you." That was enough. These real-life stories do not always end with perfect justice, but they end with progress. And progress accumulated over time becomes transformation. Sometime after the parking lot confrontation, the Riverside incident became required reading. Several other California districts adopted similar reform frameworks. A state legislature introduced the Safe Schools Accountability Act, directly citing Elena's demands as template. The bill passed committee. It is currently awaiting floor vote. Derek Hawkins's termination was upheld on appeal. The arbitrator's decision included language about pattern of discriminatory behavior, inconsistent with professional law enforcement standards. The decision is now training material for police academies under the heading Escalation Failures and Implicit Bias in Youth Interactions. Elena was promoted to full commander, though that had nothing to do with the school incident. Her next deployment was classified. She cannot talk about it, but she came home safe, and that is what matters to Maya. Maya started a youth advocacy organization called Know Your Rights Junior. It teaches middle school students their legal rights during school discipline situations, how to document interactions safely, and when to ask for help. They have presented workshops at many schools across Southern California. Elena helps write training materials but stays in the background. This is Maya's mission now. Her mother taught her real leadership means creating more leaders, not more followers. The most unexpected change. Officer Carter is graduating with his master's in school counseling soon. He realized through the incident that he was better at building relationships than enforcing rules. He still works as resource officer. The kids trust him now, but he is transitioning toward full-time counseling. He tells people Maya taught him that courage looks different than he thought. Sometimes courage is speaking up against your partner. Sometimes it is admitting you chose the wrong career and choosing again. On Maya's 13th birthday, Elena gave her a framed photograph, not the dramatic confrontation moment, the quiet one after where they stood together next to the Tahoe, waiting for the dust to settle. Maya's face was calm. Elena's hand rested on her shoulder. Inscription on the frame: real power is not about raising your voice. It is about knowing when to stand still and when to make the call. Maya keeps it on her desk next to her science trophies and her Know Your Rights Junior volunteer certificates. Elena gave one interview about the situation sometime later to Military Times for their service and community feature. The interviewer asked what she had learned from the experience. I have faced enemy combatants in hostile territory across continents. Nothing fully prepared me for the bureaucracy of public school systems, but both require the same fundamental principles: clear objective, overwhelming evidence, an absolute refusal to back down when you are right. The tactics differ. The strategy is identical. She paused, considering her next words carefully. And both are worth fighting for, because if we cannot protect our children in schools, what are we protecting anywhere else? The interviewer asked if she had advice for other parents facing discrimination. Document everything, know your rights, and teach your children theirs. Find allies. You are never as alone as you think. And remember, the system counts on you getting tired, getting quiet, going away. Do not. How many times have you watched someone in uniform, badge, suit, or just confidence dismiss someone because they did not fit expectations? How many Maya Brooks sit in classrooms right now being underestimated, being targeted, being told they are the problem? Drop a comment. Tell us about a time you or someone you know had to prove themselves against bias. What was your power move? What changed? Share this video if you believe systemic change starts with one person refusing to back down. Subscribe for more Black stories that prove quiet power defeats loud prejudice. These powerful stories, these touching stories remind us that real transformation does not require violence or wealth. It requires evidence, courage, and the absolute certainty that you deserve to be treated with dignity. Because the most dangerous weapon is not a gun or a rank. It is knowing exactly who you are when someone tries to tell you who you are.